Hi, my name is Newell Davis with World Composting, and today we're going to take a look at our pine shaving bin. So this bin has been going for now over a year, and the pine shavings are still visible from what I could tell in the last update. And you know, this is our first update of 2022, and I think that this pine shavings are going to last for quite a while in here. They might last 2 years. Now, we'll see how this goes, but we're going to continue with this experiment for this year or until the pine shavings are not visible within the system. So with that, let's go take a look and see how the system is doing. I'm sure it's going to need some food, as it's been about 3 weeks since my last update, and we'll see how the worms are doing. All right, here we go. Here's our bin right here. As you can see, our last date was 12/17, and today is the 7th of January. So that is, what, about 21 days. So we've got our plastic here on top. And of course the top layer looks pretty dry. Oh, there's a fruit fly in there. That's the first one I've seen in a while in a bin that is not on my vermin bag. Just kill him real quick. All right, there we go. We got him. See, right there. We'll see if there's any more in here, but that's the first one I've seen in a while in any of my bins. Let's just take a look. I'm gonna throw this stuff off to the side. And let's dig around in here a little bit and see what's going on. First off, let's just move this down. Give you a little bit better of a look in here. And our last feeding was on this side where the label was. So if we feed again, we'll feed either in the center or on the side over here. As you can tell, it is a little bit wet on this side, or looks wet over here, and it's a little bit dry over here where the, obviously where we didn't have the food, there was probably a lot less moisture. So let's start by digging in this food area first, or where we had the food. It feels a little bit compacted in here. As you can see, you got the castings on the bottom here, really, and more of the pine shavings on top. Worms look okay. They're not nearly as healthy looking, I feel, as I just looked at my hamster bedding bin, and they look so healthy in there. It's hard to do a real comparison, but I don't feel these look quite as healthy. Still food left in here, even after this long period of time. So we've got, it looks like a banana peel in here, which is kind of surprising. I expected 3 weeks in that this stuff would be gone. You know, we've got a little bit of the coffee grounds in here. That's not surprising. They can sometimes last a while. We do have some worms over here. A little bit more food left over right here. Looks like that's another thing of coffee grounds. Again, all the worms seem to be a little bit more yellowish in color in here. Might have to look that up and see if there's something that maybe is off in the system. Oh, here we go. Here's a food section right here. And actually, this is a ton of little babies in there. I mean, you can really see them in there. Let's just bring that up here to this close as we can get. Right there, as you can see them, lots of little babies. That's a great sign. It means that they are laying cocoons. By the way, this is a banana peel and coffee grounds, it looks like. And then we have a little bit of orange peel right here as well, which also has, I'm not seeing any worms really in here. It's hard to tell. It looks like it might be pot worms right now in this. See if we can just zoom in here, give you a look. It's really hard for me to hold this steady at this zoom level though. But it looks like there's pot worms in there. So let's just go in this corner real quick, take a look. Got some more worms in the corner. Again, another little baby worm right here. So we are seeing the population grow a little bit, which is a good sign. I'm not seeing any cocoons. By the way, the bin also has this nice orange smell because of those that orange that's in there, which is sort of nice. Let's just dig right here. Let's just see if there's any worms in this section, and there is. So they're spread out a little bit in here too. These worms look a lot healthier too. They look actually sort of nice. Another little juvenile worm right there on my glove. So I can get them off nice and gently. So, oh, look at that. Still more in this handful too. This is kind of surprising. I really was worried that they might have spread out or spread into only the section with the food, but they're spread out through this middle section as well, which has a decent moisture content. And again, over here, so so far every handful has had worms in it, and they look pretty good. So overall, I'm surprised that this material still, I mean, you can really still tell that it's shavings that's holding up very well. You know, for this, I mean, for over a year. I mean, like you can see, I mean, these are obviously shavings, so you can tell what these are. I mean, you can tell that they're pine shavings. They're not nearly as nice as when they were new, but you could tell. Now this section over here, I see a couple worms. This is very dry. A little bit more, a few more worms over here. So surprisingly, there are some worms over here. This section is just really dry. I can just feel that it's dry. And you can see right here, even with this worm right here, like you can see the shavings are just sticking to them, which shows how dry it is. Normally they kind of slough away pretty easily when it's a little bit wet. They'll kind of slide off the mucus coating that the worms sort of have for breathing and everything. So overall, we still got some coffee grounds over here, surprisingly. We'll have to make sure those are in the bottom. But overall, this looks pretty good. But we're going to add some more food. I know there's food left over here, but I really want to keep this going and just keep these worms going through more and more food if possible. So I'm just going to scrape all these worms away right now, if I can. We're going to add a fairly large feeding this time. I mean, I do have quite a bit that I could put in here. Actually, those are coffee grounds. Let's leave those right there. But I have a big container right here. I'm not going to add all of this, but I'm going to try to scrape some of this out and add it in here because I don't want to add all of it. That'd be too much. Of course, it's rock solid in here. Let me just bang this on the counter here. Well, should have thawed it a little bit longer. It looks like this is a massive block here on the bottom. I think this one's been sitting in there for a while. But there are a couple little pieces in there. Let me see if I can just break this apart a little bit more on the top. Get a few more pieces in here. I don't really want to do a massive feeding. I just want to add something so that when they run out of food on one side, there's some place for them to go and get a little bit more food. So I don't want to add nothing, but I also don't want to add this entire brick. That'd be way too much to add in this system of this size for the amount of checking up we're doing on it. I'd probably have a fruit fly issue if I added that much. So I was hoping to add a little bit more generous feeding than this, but I don't think that's going to be happening. So let me just see if I can scrape off a little bit more. You got a little bit of the coffee filter and grounds in there. As I said, this one's definitely been sitting in there for a while. I think it's kind of, I have an old freezer and it's thawed and then refrozen and thawed and then refrozen. So all this stuff's eventually, all the moisture in it just makes its way to the bottom and then becomes kind of a solid chunk here. Got a little bit more loose in there. I'm just going to pour that in here. Those are primarily coffee grounds, it looks like. They tend to wick away all their moisture. I'm going to put that back in. So, all right, so it's going to be a small feeding today, but we are putting in a little bit of food. So that way there's something left over when they finish this area off, hopefully within the next cycle. Now, the next thing I do want to do, if I can find it here, up here they are, is add my crushed crab and eggshell. Just a little bit in there. Make sure everything stays balanced. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just cover this back up. Now, the other thing we're going to do is I am going to add water to this as I have been doing to all my systems. As you can tell, that top was a little bit dry when we opened it up. And the material in here was okay, but it was still on the dry side, I feel. And I like to keep mine more moist than that. And my basement's very dry right now. The humidity's dropping in the house. And I'm just going to add 1 scoop of water right here to this side. And then I'm going to add 1 to the other side as well. And this is going to evaporate pretty quickly, I have a feeling. I mean, it's just, I know we have the bags on there, but it's still letting out a lot of moisture. The air is incredibly dry in here. And there's just no way that it's not going to evaporate into the air. So we're going to add that moisture back on top. And now let's place our bags back down. Spread them out a little bit. It's going to hold in some of that moisture. We still have gaps around the sides, but that's going to just help that out. And then the last thing here we're going to do, move this forward, and we're going to take that label off. We're going to put this label on right over here to show that we fed over here on this side last time. So that's it for my update. And we're going to come back to the system, but we'll have to come back maybe a little bit quicker, but hopefully they'll have time to finish off this, and over here maybe within the next 2 weeks we'll try to come back, or maybe even a week, and see if they start working on this side a little bit, because we didn't feed all that much. And I'll be a little bit better prepared to add more food back to this side or maybe even this center section here. So thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And if you have anything else that you want to ask me or any comments, you know, those comments down below, I do answer them, or I try to at least as frequently as I can. So please write something down and let me know what you think.